All right, so now I'm going to talk about storytelling using a written narrative. So in my last video, I just built this picture using an oral story, and we just augmented the literacy with pictures. So now the next step is for the child to put this story into writing. So I have the written language rules here, and I go over them before we even start the activity with the student. So storytelling, spoken narrative, that's the first part, and this is what I'm talking about right now. So author's writing goals during storytelling. I will say what I am planning to write out loud. I will ask for spelling help. I will use interesting words. I will add spaces between words. I will start each sentence with a capital letter. I will say the sounds as I write the words, or say the words as I write the word. I will end each sentence with punctuation, and I will reread what I wrote out loud. So those are the things that you track data on. So you don't need to track a lot of data. This is pretty much an entire teaching activity. It's to build exposure and practice in writing stories and sharing stories and using the written rules of language. But how I, as a SLP, will track the data later is I know the student has not mastered any of these skills, and these are the skills that promote carryover of written language and independence in written language tasks. So with this, all I'll do is at the very end, I'll see how many times they're automatically doing this independently. Okay, so we just keep teaching them every single day, and over time I'll look and say, okay, let's see if they're doing this independently, these skills, because these are the things that allow them to generalize knowledge from the clinical setting into the classroom setting. So if they're able to do these here with me, independently without me telling them, they're going to be very successful or more successful in the classroom. So don't worry about tracking any data. All you're doing for this activity is teaching these rules. Whenever they break one of the rules, remind them, oh, remember, I don't want you to spell anything wrong. I want you to ask me for spelling help. Or, oh, I didn't hear what you're planning to write. I don't know what you're writing. You need to say what you're planning to write out loud. Or as they're writing, you stop them and say, oh, I don't know what you're writing. You're not telling me what your plan is. Okay, so these are the rules you just keep promoting the whole time. So what you do to start, I always hang it up here behind me so the student can see it and I'll remind them. And then you go over the story. So the first thing you would say is, let's see if you can combine these three ideas into one sentence. The when, where, and who. So you would say to the student, how can we put that into one sentence? What are you doing this Easter? And as kids get better at it, if they just blank and they don't know, let me help you on this one. I'll help you on that. And it's all right to help, right? It's all right to teach. You're going to be doing this every single week, at least twice a week, hopefully twice a week. So they become more and more familiar, and they actually usually want less help because it goes faster when they just automatically start doing it. So anyways, if they aren't sure how to do it, you can say, okay, so how about let's start with introducing our topic, introducing what we're talking about. So the question is, what are you doing on Easter? So Easter is a good way to introduce what we're going to talk about. So on Easter, I'm going to my grandma's in Winnipeg with my family. So then you have them repeat that and say, now you try. Okay, great. Now I want you to write that down. So say what you are planning to write. So let's do it. Go on. I start my sentence with a capital. Easter. Oh, I don't know how to spell Easter. Great. And then you say, thank you for asking me. So as soon as they don't know how to spell Easter, the adult's going to help teach them how to spell it. And I'm going to go over that on a separate video on how to teach them spelling help, but you can either have them, for the sake of getting their sentence out, have them draw a line and then leave it blank. So then when they read it, what they wrote, they know that that blank right there is for the word Easter. So on Easter, I am, and then if they, oh, I forgot what I'm going to say, so you prompt them, okay, I want you to reread your sentence, right? So it's the rule right here. I will reread what I wrote out loud. On Easter, I am going to grandma's house. And house, Winnipeg. And maybe they stop there. And then you say, okay, is that the end of your sentence? Do you need punctuation? Why don't you reread what you wrote to see if you missed anything? On Easter, I am going to Grandma's house, Winnipeg. Oh, see, that sounds kind of funny, right? So what else do you need? On Easter, I am going to Grandma's house in Winnipeg. All right. So also the student, when they were writing, they didn't say in Winnipeg. So that's something you could have caught before they wrote it. I like it to be caught that they say whatever word they're planning to write before they write it down. But I'm just giving you a mistake that kids often do. They'll also say in Winnipeg and then they'll start writing Winnipeg. That's why it's really important for them to reread what they wrote. And if you notice the errors, if they're, as the student was writing Grandma's house and they start writing Winnipeg, be like, oh, stop. I think you're missing something. You told me you were going to write in Winnipeg. That's what you said out loud. Remember, you have to write the word in first. So we want this to be less laborsome for them. We're helping take some of the labor out. We're helping take out some of the correcting out. We're just teaching as we go. So it's all right to stop them in the middle of their sentence. And as much as a lot of students benefit from writing practice, it's all right to erase and say, hey, let me help you. I know you were starting to write that, so I'm going to write it. I'm going to erase Winnipeg here. On Easter, I am going to Grandma's house in... Okay, and now finger space, now it's your turn to take over writing. So whatever things they're not doing, you're just going to keep doing. Oh, remember, you got to do this, or remember alignment, remember it's a capital letter, it's a name of a place, or there's no capitals here, or the G goes below the line. You're going to keep drilling those things as they're doing the written practice, because they're not going to forget their plan because they already have a plan, okay? It starts very hard and laborsome, but we're trying to catch kids up, right, to grade level. So if a kid has this oral story in their head and they're not writing it, they have the skills, they just don't have the writing practice and experience, or they have the oral language skills and the know-how, they just don't have the written language skills. So we're building up those written language skills and pairing them with the spoken language. So anyways, don't be afraid the whole time as you're going along to keep correcting, keep reminding them the skills. If they're burning out, say, okay, how about you tell me what the next sentence is out loud and I will write it. It's all right to take turns going back and forth, because the most important part is the plan, right? And then you'll get lots of spelling practice and help as they go along, the more writing practice they have and experience they have. And for kids that can't get through the whole written narrative, writing all this, then they're never practicing the last parts of their story. They're not practicing all the transition words. They're not practicing all those things. So it's really important that you help them out along the way. This is for teaching purposes, right? So that's the written narrative, and there's no data tracking you do on it in the end. So they write their whole story, keep reminding them to say the words as they're saying it. These things, the written language goals, if they're doing them properly, they shouldn't make any mistakes, because the adult is always there supporting them. So, or if they're saying things out loud, you as an adult hear, oh, you know, it's grammatically incorrect. You know, it would be better if it's worded like this. Or maybe he's making 3 sentences and he can put that all into 1 sentence, right? Like, on Easter Sunday, I'm going to Grandma's house in Winnipeg. On Easter Sunday, I'm going with my mom and dad and brother, blah, 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 all those elaborate details. So you can help them summarize the information if they're saying their sentences out loud first. And that's what makes writing easier for weak writers, right? It makes it easier if they have a really good plan. They can summarize information. They don't have to write as much, and it's less laborsome if you know what you want to write. And for all the spelling help, you can just have them draw a line, and I'll show you another video on how I'd like you helping your student or your child with spelling. Thank you.